Okay, my name's Zakashi, guys, and in this video here I'm going to be giving you guys the best teams and equipments to build the new Legends Limited Omega Shenron. It's quite wild that they would drop another Legends Limited as part of the 6th anniversary after an Ultra has already dropped. They've never done this before, but of course if you guys did want to summon on this guy because you guys are GT or maybe another team you just like Omega Shenron, I don't know. Regardless, if you have him, this video is sure to help you out. We don't need to do any more talking. Let's get straight into this video. Right, so there's two things I want to show you guys that's very important. It will come up in this video, but the first thing is that Omega Shenron is a range type unit, so he kind of goes against the grain with the meta right now, but you can still make him work nonetheless. The second thing I want to show you is that he's a fusion warrior, and that's going to come up in regards to his Zenkai buffs. He carries 2 blasts as well. So if we actually go out right and go to the teams, the first team we've got is actually GT. So let me rename that firstly so you can just see it nice and clear. I've got Ultra Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, then I've got Super 17 as a third, and then I don't have Omega Shenron, but he would be in the middle. He's being Zenkai buffed by G4. G4 Z ability, I don't think it's the best, but he obviously Zenkai buffs Green Fusion Warriors, which is for Omega Shenron, which is dope. Then we've got this guy here, Super Saiyan 4 Goku, to Zenkai buff G4, the Ultra. And then we've got this guy here, the EX Goku, who's giving a Z ability of HP for everybody on the team, and that's super useful because G4 is going to be healing. And then on top of that, you know that Omega Shenron has the indestructible, so you want him to have as much health, and then he will regen a lot of health. I believe he regens 50% after his indestructible wears off. This obviously isn't the only team you can run, but I tried to make it like blast based with Super 17 as one of the guys you'll be carrying, since he actually carries 1 blast as well. And then I don't think G4 carries like 1 blast, it's just 2 strikes, but he's such a must run, it's actually insane. But cool, if we look at the options you have, so let me just turn off EXs right now. In the blues, you've obviously got Bomku is somebody you could run. He carries 1 blast, he has endurance, and he cancels buffs when anything comes at him. I believe is ultimate, awakened, or rising rush, but not blue cards, so just bear that in mind. As a green option, we've obviously got Omega. As purple, we've got Ultra Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, that should go without saying. And then for a yellow, Super Baby 2 is your #1 man. You should definitely run him if you can. He also carries 1 blast, which would help out a lot. He doesn't have endurance or anything, but his gauge, Super Gauge 2, Gauge Uraga, he's able to break combos very well, especially with Ultra Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta being in the game as an annoying pest. And then for red, you've got Ultra Omega as well, of course, if you don't want to use Super 17, but I think Super 17 output is better, and with the Legend Limited Omega being range type, Super 17 helps out as well, but it depends on what you want to run, what you have. The options are there, you know. Bulla is also a good support option, but will get melted. I just want to mention that some people do like using her, but I wouldn't personally recommend. But yeah, it just depends on how you want to go with it. Just bear in mind of how the fact that he's range type, and a lot of the units that are being used right now are more melee orientated, but you can make it work with the characters that have 1 blast starts, so you can get the most damage out of Legend Limited Omega. But I'd say you should more so use him as that layer that's going to tank hits because of the fact that he has indestructible, but he can also offer you some offensive capability since that he has the poison, the heavy bleed that's going to kick in effect and annoy the enemy or just break them down gradually while you're using your other offensive units, you know. But yeah, that's the first team I've got. Just to mention this, he's an important HP buffer. You don't have to. There's obviously Zenkai buffs that I've already showed you as well, and some of them are not even in the GT section, just to point that out, depending on how you build the team. But yeah, the EX Goku at the bottom is very important. If you want to run HP, if you don't have high stars, you should consider having him on. But that's the first team. We've got GT. The second team we've got in this video is actually Powerful Opponent. So let me go ahead and rename that for you so you can see it clearly. We've got Ultra Golden Frieza. He's like the GOAT of Powerful Opponents pretty much. We've got Super 17 again making another appearance. And then the third slot's obviously going to be for Legends Limited Omega Shenron. We've got Jiren, who's going to be Zenkai buffing Golden Frieza. Let me actually just show you that so you can see it clearly. Zenkai buff, Powerful Opponent purple. There you go. Then we've got Red Cell, who's going to be Zenkai buffing Super 17. Red Android, there you go. And then we've got this Broly here, who's a HP buffer for the team. He's not a must run, but if you do want HP for the team, which it is important, you're going to be having comeback with Golden Frieza. Then you have the indestructible with Omega Shenron. The HP is obviously going to be useful, which I did explain previously in the GT section as well. Of course, this isn't the only teams you can run, the only characters you can run. Let's look at the other options based on what you have in your account. So for a blue option, you could consider running Ultra Janemba, but he's a melee type. He does carry a blast, so depending on how you want to build the team, but I personally wouldn't recommend. We've also got Beerus here, who is actually a range type, which would fit the bill, and he carries 1 blast, which is good. But you might have to consider the Z abilities. So if I actually display max stats, let's see actually what he gets at Z ability 3. He does actually buff powerful opponent, which is good. So you're going to need him at least 6 stars to get that, or you're going to have to leader slot him accordingly. Greens, obviously, is going to be Legends Limited Omega Shenron. We don't need to go through there. There's nobody else even as an option. Maybe this guy, but running double green is literally suicide. So, yeah. Going into purple, we've already spoke about Ultra Golden Frieza. I don't think there's any other option other than him. I guess purple Jiren, but he's just not up to date with the newer units nowadays. So Golden Frieza is obviously the #1, and having the comeback is way better than Endurance that only kicks in when somebody rushes, or when the enemy rushes, sorry. Going into yellow, obviously Super Baby 2 is going to be your #1, similar to GT. Consider the fact that even though he's a melee type, I believe he carries 1 blast, so that could obviously help you out, considering Legends Limited Omega Shenron is a range type unit. Then for red, I've obviously got Super 17. You could run Corrupted Zamasu as well, but he's a melee with 2 strikes, which is very, very strike oriented, like is deeply in the trenches. Obviously Super 17, I already showed you him. I don't think there's anybody else I'd really recommend. It's just based on the Zenkai buffs. Maybe Ultra Omega Shenron. He does have 1 blast. He does mesh with GT as well, and he does come with endurance, and he cancels boss from everything, I think, except the Rising Rush. So that's also a factor you could have. I think that's pretty much it when it comes to powerful opponents. Obviously, you need to have some Zenkai buffs accordingly. So I've showed you some for gold, 1 for Golden Frieza, 1 for Super 17. For Omega, unfortunately, with powerful opponents, unless you're going like the pure GT route with like Super 17, Z ability doesn't even buff powerful opponents, you know. He does here get a Zenkai buff, but the Z ability doesn't work with the rest of the team, so you might have to think about that. But considering my bench is only Super 17, it would work if I did want a Zenkai buff, you know, LL Omega Shenron. But it depends on how you want to build it. Someone I didn't mention actually that's super good, who's range type, I almost forgot about him. I don't know how I did. Legends Limited Kid Buu, the Zenkai here. He is almost a must run, I'm not going to lie. With him being range type, I believe he carries 2 blasts, he has endurance as well, gets cover no, vanish recovery, green cards. It's almost everything you want. If anything, I would replace him for Super 17 of being how great he is. Like, not even joking, and then put LL Omega Shenron here. You could even think about Zenkai buffing, because Omega Shenron is also a look, I could show you here with the other Omega Shenron, whereas I'll just go to full character list. Omega Shenron's also a regeneration unit. He even busts regeneration through his Z ability, I believe, if I go to display max stats, which is also insane, right? So if I go ahead and build the team, I could swap out a Zenkai buff. So in this case, not gonna need the red one anymore. We could swap him out for, let's go Butanks. Where is he? I have to change. No, he should be here on the screen actually, because he's also a powerful opponent. You can see here range type, it doesn't really matter, mostly it's just his Z ability, which goes to regeneration, which is everybody on the team. The leader slot doesn't have to matter. You have the Majin Buu Saga, which is basically for Kid Buu. Put him on there, works nicely, still got the HP buff, and then of course you're going to be having the Omega Shenron there. So yeah, that's powerful opponents. Lots of ways to go about it, but just try to be considerate of the fact that Legends Limited Omega Shenron is a range type. You might want to build him to be tanky, and he's green, so he might need the defenses, I'm not going to lie. But of course, with the team in general, there is strike variations of it and blast variations. So if he's not doing damage, maybe because you got a strike based team. Now the last team I'm going to mention is Fusion Warriors. So let me go ahead and change that name quickly. I'll just put, no, I'll put whole Fusion. I'll just put Fusion, right? We got Fusion Warriors. Now, I don't know how to feel about this team, and it's more so just a leader slot team with how powerful Fusion Warriors is right now. So you'd be putting Legends Limited Omega Shenron on the leader slot. I don't actually recommend it because it's heavily melee based, so you just be slotting him on for the indestructible, which could be a layer that protects you, I'm not going to lie. But outside of that, in terms of the Z abilities and whatnot, you're kind of shafting Omega Shenron's damage potential. But leader slot teams do tend to work, and his indestructible is undeniably valuable. So what I've got here, I've got G4 being Zenkai buffed and HP buffed. Everybody's being HP buffed by this guy here. And I mentioned earlier, Omega Shenron's a Fusion Warrior. So if you don't have him on the leader slot, his Z ability won't buff the rest of the team. But G4, because he's GT. So for example, fusing Super Vegeta won't get the Z ability. But he does fit on the team and get buffed by everybody else. So yeah, I wanted to talk about the Zenkai buff for G4 here, purple and Saiyan, and you also get the HP buff when he's at 14 stars. Nameku's obviously here for fusing Super Vegito, and then Super Vegito's obviously there on the team as well. G4 is obviously the Zenkai buffer for Legends Limited Omega Shenron. Now let's look at what other options we've got, because you might not want to build the team exactly like me. For example, you might want to use Gogeta Blue. But if you look at the blues, right, the other blue you might want to use, and I've actually been using him. He's really only good for his ultimate, really, and he spawns a green card, which is good. Legend Limited Vegito Blue with his plat. He's low-key underrated, but I'm not branding him like a top 10 unit or anything. He just can put in enough work for you to have that extra blue on your team if you don't have fusing Super Vegito. Green's obviously going to be Legends Limited Omega Shenron. Going into purple, it's undeniably going to be UG4, no contest. Going into yellow, Gogeta Blue is your main man. He's very valuable right now, especially because he avoids the counter. And then for reds, you've obviously got Super 17, Ultra Vegito Blue, Corrupted Zamasu, probably the main option, even though he's a melee-oriented character. So you'd be fixing the team based on like what characters you have. There's so many ways you can build this team. Let me show you some live examples potentially. So just bear in mind of his Z abilities, right? When you have him at 6 stars, GT, Powerful Opponent, Regeneration, you can literally build the team around that and still make it Fusion Warriors. So for example, I'm gonna have, in this case, I'm gonna put G4 on the leader slot. I'm gonna take off these guys for now, and what I'm going to do, let's just imagine Omega's there in the middle. I'm going to run Super 17 and it would work. I can even take off Super 17 and put CMZ. CMZ, I believe, does buff Powerful Opponent, even though the team is melee based, and then the bench would be buffing all of these guys, but CMZ is buffing this guy, and Omega Shenron, and Omega Shenron is buffing CMZ, so the team would still work as G4's on the leader slot as well. Do you see what I'm saying? We could also go another way, so in this case, I'm going to put G4 off the leader slot, put Gogeta Blue here. It would be Legends Limited Omega Shenron on the leader slot. Then the rest of the team would just have to be based on Fusion Warriors. So I'll be putting this guy on SB. That's a HP buff and a Zenkai buff. We've got another HP buff and a Zenkai buff. Then I could put G4 here, the Zenkai buff, LL Omega Shenron. So I just showed you 2 more compositions that you could build for Fusion Warrior depending on what you want to use and run, but it's options available to you nonetheless. It's more so a leader slot team, but it is something that is in his tags, so I thought I should mention it in its own section. But yeah, the third team, we got Fusion Warriors. Right, so the first equipment we're going to be mentioning is Hello, Are You Napping? You get health restoration, which is obviously good because of his indestructible. He gains health back. Then he gets defenses as long as you're running him with G4. So you see it says 12.35% to blast defense when character Gogeta and tag Super Saiyan 4 is a battle member. Very easy to get, you know. You get defensive strike and blast, and you also get some base stats strike and blast attack. This is for Saiyan's Fusion Warrior GT. Omega Shenron has 2 of those. How to get this? You can get it from the raid, hyperdimensional co-op, and then you've also got it from the dual coin exchange shop, which comes in with the co-op. So yeah, this equipment is actually really good if you want to build him tankily because he does have the indestructible. We've got Was That Too Much? I'm still getting used to this. This is for powerful opponents and Lineage of Evil. If you're running him with Ultra Golden Frieza, like I mentioned, powerful opponents earlier, this can be something you could apply. So you get strike defense on the first slot, then you get offenses based on Golden Frieza being on the team, because Golden Frieza is a movies character and he's obviously a Frieza. You get some base stats too, and you can get this from the dual coin exchange shop. This, if you're running GT and you want him to be offensive good on GT, he gets HP on the first slot, which is obviously good. He's a unit with indestructible. I'm going to mention this so many times, but if you get the offenses similar to the previous equipment with Golden Frieza, but it's based on you having a GT Fusion Warrior, which will obviously be him himself. But the third slot says other than this character is tag GT, so you need to be running one other. So you'll probably be running him with UG4 on pretty much every single team he can fit on. Other than that, you need to be considerate. So maybe not for powerful opponent, this would be more so for GT. Do you get what I'm saying? But yeah, this is, like I said, for GT. And then over here, how to get, you can get it from the dual coin exchange shop. This is a powerful opponent gem, Uncontrollable Anger. You see special move and ultimate damage on the first slot. Really important factors so you can do big damage. You see G4 be nuking people, but then you also get offenses based on powerful opponents, base strike attack and a base strike defense and blast defense up to 20. Oh, it's 18%. My bad. But you can see there's powerful opponent at the bottom, and you can get this from the dual coin exchange shop. This one here, obviously for Fusion Warriors, Give Up Boo. It just has Fusion Warrior. You get offenses for both type, and you get some critical. Critical is not a favorite stat, but it can come in clutch sometimes. You can get this from the dual coin exchange shop. This awakened equipment is pretty good as well. You get special move and a lot of blast attack, which is exactly what Omega needs. Awakened, this is the kind of power I'd be running away from. Number one, it's always number one when it's awakened, unless it has 2 awakened versions. But you can see what it gives you. It's for GT range type, which is exactly what Omega is. You can get the unawakened version, the memory, sorry, from Zakashi Spacetime Rush. But if you want the awakened version, what you're going to want to do is go to characters. I'll show you the process. Go to equipment, go to archive, and if you change the filter accordingly to something that you need, so in this case it's GT, you can see the equipment is right here. And then you can see the unawakened version is here, so you can go ahead and awaken it. The unawakened version is not good, trust me. And then you can get it from the equipment medal exchange shop. This equipment is new, but it's actually pretty decent. You get strike defense from it, HP, and it even increases your defenses tenfold. You can see here you get base blast defense, and it says 5 to 12% to strike and blast defense if this character is a shadow dragon. I wonder who's a shadow dragon, you know. But of course, the defenses are obviously super useful with this indestructible. You fit for GT, and you can get it from the new PvP exchange shop. You see the World Tournament 3, so you're gonna have to grind up PvP to get these medals. I'm not going to lie. Now, I think this equipment is actually good if you're running GT and you're really just trying to hone in on his defenses, but it's only strike defense, and you can get up to 18% pure strike defense for having 3 GT members, including himself, on the battlefield. You also do get strike attack, and you can choose between blast defense and blast attack. You're gonna have to re-roll for that. This is the awakened version, so the memory is from the Zakashi Spacetime Rush shop. And if you go to archive, but you won't need to do this because I'm just gonna show you right now. The unawakened version, where is it at? Where is it at? It should be on the screen right now. Yes, my eyes were just not working. You can see here it's not as good. You can get it from the equipment medal shop if you do want to awaken it, but I wouldn't front forward it because these awakenings are hard to get. But if you want to have him on that specific build, this equipment is actually good. This equipment here, the Cell Games announcement, is also really good if you're running powerful opponent regeneration. You know, we got base critical for the first slot, health on the 3rd slot, but the first part, then you get pure blast attack. We got health on the 2nd slot, and we got blast attack and blast defense on the 1st slot. So it's just full ranged equipment, but it's for powerful opponent. I don't know why I started bottom up, but whatever. You can get this from the equipment medal shop. It's pretty cheap to get and easy, but equipment medals aren't cheap. I just mean it's not gonna put you through the awakening process. If you're really desperate to run Fusion Warriors with this guy and you want blast attack, even though Fusion Warriors is a melee team, you can hand him this equipment, which is for Fusion Warriors. You can see here base blast defense, base strike defense, and you get blast attack, and you get 5% to blast attack for each Fusion Warrior battle member, so you can get up to 15% pure blast. Probably some better equipment in general, but this is something that you can have. You can get the memory from the Zakashi Spacetime Rush. You might already have this, which is why I'm going to mention it. And you can see the unawakened version over here. You can get it from the equipment medal exchange shop. It's actually completely way worse, even though it is for Fusion Warrior Green. It's just not as good, so you should definitely awaken it. But yeah, man, hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. I think I did a good job of giving you guys the best teams and equipment. And before somebody mentions regenerations, this isn't a showcase of every single team he can be run on. It's for literally the best teams, and regeneration does not top any of these 3 teams I showed in this video. But the equipments are definitely good to go. You won't need all of them. You'll need one depending on where you're going, and then the other ones are like base stats to give you guys a bit more of an amp on the unit. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video, man. If you haven't already, make sure to press that subscribe button. We're on this grind to 100,000 subscribers. I appreciate you guys for watching the video, man. My name is Zakashi, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one, man.